Hello and welcome to Stellaris. Stellaris is the new space grand strategy by Paradox, and I'm really looking forward to it. In this episode, we're going to be mostly creating a character, well, creating a whole empire, and we're going to be looking at some of the different options available and deciding exactly what we want to do for the playthrough. So, let's just go to New Game and have a look. So, on this screen, you can save lots of your previous races, and you can see some of the pre-made ones. I made these guys earlier. These are just the tester people from Test. Very exciting and obviously very interesting, but we're going to be moving on and creating a new one. You can also, interestingly, you can set these guys to spawn. So you can say, I want this empire not to spawn ever in our game. So you can say that you want them to spawn sometimes, but you know, you don't want to be sure. Or you can also say that this empire has to be in your game. This is interesting because you can kind of set up your world this way. You can say you want a certain number of your nations to be there in your next game. You can just say, like, I want this nation to be in my game somewhere. And then you can have your game set up as you want it. Say you want there to be, like, just only aggressive people in it. You just set up the right number of aggressive people. You set empire spawning to forced, and those will be the only empires you face. So it can be interesting to try out different stuff. But again, we're going to create a new one. So, what are we going to create for our actual species? Well, I would create a human, but that seems a little bit boring for just now. So we're going to create something a little bit different. How about, I don't know, there's a lot of different options. I think we're going to create these dudes. They look kind of cool. Little fox-like creatures. Go for that. Name, I am completely clueless of names, so we'll just randomize it a couple times till we find something we'll like. The Evandari. Yeah, that seems cool. And we'll go with that. Name lists. You can choose for lots of different name lists. You can also mod these in, so you can have lots of different kind of, like, I have seen mods already, which I've experimented with a little bit. Like, there's a Star Wars mod that's a little bit rough, but basically it adds in name lists, it adds in actual like pictures, and you could say have a nation set up which was all, I don't know, all Gungeons or something. You can have lots of little Jar Jars all over the place, and you can have that as you can have those as your names, as your fleet names. It's kind of cool. We're just gonna go with Mammalian 1. That seems fine. Right. Traits. Now this is where we basically start to choose what our race actually is. Now for the first game, I want to play a very I want to play a colonizing game where we just expand really quickly and experience a lot of what the game has to offer. Because I think that expanding is probably the more interesting way to play this game from my quick testing. I've only played about an hour of it so far, just to kind of get used to the UI, so let's try that out. What are we going to need if we want to be a colonizing group? Well, we could get extra food. Energy credits is always useful. Energy credits is kind of your main currency in the game. It's what you use to power buildings and things like that. Minerals is your other currency. That is what you use to, like, that's what you use to buy the buildings themselves. But energy is what you use to keep things going. So, in Civ terms, I think it's like energy is similar to how you have to spend maintenance costs for gold, and minerals are kind of your other resources you use to buy. I forget what they call them in Civ. There are other resources, aren't there? Maybe there aren't. Anyway, engineering output, physics output, and society output. These are kind of your mana from EU4 with your administrative, your diplomacy, and your military. This is roughly similar. Engineering is kind of military, physics kind of admin, and society kind of diplo. No, it doesn't really fit that well into it, but that's kind of what they are. Natural engineers, again, more. This just so intelligent is if you want just output in kind of general. You just want it all to be a little bit better, which could be something we go for. And the kind of natural engineers and physicists are things if you want one thing to be really good. That's what we want to go for. I'm considering going for natural sociologist, because that's what you need for colonizing ship right at the start. So, in fact, we'll just go for that. So we'll take that. Now, we could take something like extremely adaptable, which could mean each planet has habitability. So say we come up across, I don't know, a planet that's not quite right for us. If we have more habitability, we can then colonize on it more effectively, I guess would be the best way of putting it. Or we can go non-adaptive. We probably want to go at least adaptive, but we only have a limited number of traits to pick here, so you kind of have to even it out. Non-adaptive, obviously the opposite of adaptive, so it just lowers your habitability. Rapid breeders could be interesting. If we had increased growth rate, that would definitely seem to help with our colonizing and expanding things. Slow breeders doesn't seem like something we're taking. Talented for leader skill levels, I don't think that's going to be so useful for us. I don't entirely know. Like, having better leaders just kind of makes them just do their job better. It doesn't really add anything amazing as far as I can tell, but I haven't really played that much to learn it. Leader experience gain, again, don't really want that. We could probably take slow learners as one of ours. Leader experience gain down. That could be good. Very strong. We probably don't care about our army strength too much, although the extra minerals are nice from these. Weak, we could maybe even take, because that gives us our poor fighters on the ground, so our army damage would be less on the ground. That could be interesting. Nomadic, migration time, resettlement cost. That seems like a good idea. Yeah, resettlement cost and migration time goes down. That seems really a good idea. And now we only have 2 trait picks left, and we have 0 trait points left, so we have to take a bad trait if we're going to take anything. Solitary could be interesting. Weak definitely seems good. Repugnant doesn't seem good. Communal, I don't know. Conformist, ethics divergence. I have no idea what that means at all. Venerable, leader lifespan goes up. Probably not what we're looking for. I can see how these could be useful. Resource output without slaves. Now, apparently slaves are actually completely, well, hover back over that again. Slaves are completely broken right now, as in they will not ever revolt no matter what you do to them. So, they would be really strong. I'm not going to go with it just because I know that they are really strong, and I want to kind of play a more normal game. Resilient, probably not something we need. Okay, so if we're taking a negative, we could always stop here with just natural, sociologist, and nomadic. But if we're to take a negative trait, we'd probably take something like weak. And what would we take as our one? We get 1 point from weak. What would we take for that? Maybe rapid breeders. That could be good. Yeah. So we'll take weak, and we'll take rapid breeders. There we go. That seems fine. That kind of looks about right what we're after. Right, let's just randomize the name until we get one that we like. Merg Mikon seems fine. Just changes colors. Not going to spend an awful lot of time on this. There we go. Nice little cloak. Right, homeworld. Now this fits into the habitability thing that we were talking about earlier. So for your homeworld, if you find another world that is similar to your homeworld, you will have increased habitability on it, and you'll be more likely to be able to colonize it. So, say if we chose a desert world, if we found other desert worlds, we'd be fine. But if we found an ocean world, then we wouldn't be so okay there. We would have a lot of trouble actually colonizing there. I don't know what we're gonna go with. Let's just go with I don't know. How about an Arctic world for the start? That seems fine. If we find other Arctic worlds that'll work for us, and our home world is named Drull. Star name is Drull Urkril. That seems fine. And you can change what the solar system looks like between a couple of pre-built solar systems. We're just going to have ours randomized, which is fine. Right. City appearance. We'll just go for the default one. Government and ethics. This is the next part of choosing exactly what you want to go with. So, if we're going to colonize, what kind of people do we want to be? What do we get for each of these? So basically each of these is you get a minor and a major here. So you could either be a little bit militaristic or you're really militaristic. So it's kind of interesting. You just basically get double the bonuses for each thing. Do they cost 2 points? Yeah, they cost 2 points if you go into the next level. So it's important to choose what you want to actually go for. Xenophile could be good. I think that means that people around us, like, we're happier meeting other aliens and kind of coexisting. I don't know if that's exactly where we're going with this. Collectivist, slave tolerance goes up and food consumption goes down. Food consumption going down could be nice. Happiness going up for spiritualist, that could be interesting. The other important thing is this also opens up what government types we can go for. Because if we choose certain things, we can go for different... See, if we were fanatic militarists, we can unlock a couple of these military government types. So we got some options. I quite like materialist. It gives just a lot of output. As we reach for the stars, we must put away childish things, gods, spirits, and other phantasms of the brain. Reality is cruel and unforgiving, yet we must steel ourselves and secure the survival of our race through unflinching pursuit of science and technology. And what's fanatic? Although it hurts, we must grow up and put aside our outdated notions of morality. There is no divine spark granting special value to a living mind. No object that has any intrinsic value apart from what we choose to grant it. Let's embrace the freedom of certitude and achieve maximum efficiency in all things. That seems reasonable. Maybe we'll go that and collectivist. That seems fine. And now we just have a couple of options here. So, we have very limited government options here. We can be a plutocratic oligarchy, which means basically everything in the center here means we have to do elections every 40 to 50 years to get a new ruler. And everything in this one, at the far end, means that you have like a permanent ruler forever. There are no elections. You have more of a ruling class. And then the one at the far left means that you have an election every 5 years. So, wealthy elite. Citizens' personal wealth translates directly into political power, so we get extra energy credits and minerals. This one gives us research alternatives, which is actually very useful because we'll show you when we get into how research works. Basically, research gives you 3 research options by default, and then you choose between them, and they're slightly randomized. There are some which you always get, like on your first sociology one, you always get colony ship, which means that you can always colonize. But having more alternatives could be nice because it could allow us to shape how we want to go a little bit more. Despotic hegemony. That would give us extra research speed and survey speed, which could actually be very interesting for us because the extra research and survey speed will allow us to get the colonizing quicker and allow us to survey planets quicker to work out where we want to go a little bit more effectively. And despotic empire, which gives us extra lowers our building cost and gives us extra slave output. I quite like the idea of the hegemony, so we'll go with that just now. Right. Empire name. Let's choose it. We're gonna go with the I don't know, the Great Evandari Nation. That seems fine. Yeah. Flag. What are we gonna choose? A couple different options here. There are actually quite a few options here. How about we go for zoological? That seems like us, and we'll go for this kind of I don't know. How about these feathers? They seem kind of cool. Make it a little bit orange. Make it very hideous, apparently, is where we're aiming for. Yeah, that seems fine. Something like that. That's mostly hideous. Cool. Starting weapons, you can choose between 3. I don't actually know what the difference is quite yet, but projectile weapons are good at short range and can chew through shields with ease. Energy weapons can ignore armor, and missile weapons have excellent range but can be intercepted. I don't know, let's go projectile weapons for just now. I don't know whether that's a good choice, but presumably it's not an awful choice. FTL method. Now, this is interesting because there are a couple of different options you can do here. Warp travel is basically you have a zone around your starting place, and that has a warp drive, and you can go just basically anywhere in that zone. And it says slow to travel long distances, but it's quite fast in your circle. Like, in your circle, it's relatively easy to use. Hyperspace is kind of your, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a sci-fi thing that uses it, but it's a fairly typical sci-fi thing. You go along lanes, it connects different star systems, and you move really quickly between the star systems, which I quite like the idea of that one. And wormhole travel is completely crazy. Basically, you have different points around, and you can go into the wormhole to get between points. And that's a kind of almost a Mass Effect style thing, where you have to go to the point and then you can travel along that point to the next point. So that's kind of interesting. We'll go with hyperspace for just now because I like the idea of that. And ship appearance, we'll just go for the default mammalian ships. Cool. That is the great Evandari nation, and we will save that, and we are done. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the actual game.